the desert of the real.
Welcome to the Desert of the Real. I am your host, Ryan Hudson. Join with me, as always, is your fearless co-host,
Jason Dietz. Dun dun dun!
The Desert of the Real is a movie podcast where I forced Jason to watch big blockbuster movies he's refused to watch because he didn't think they were worth his time, and we are almost done with the MCU.
It cannot possibly happen soon enough. Case in point, this movie.
We are also high school teachers. Between the two of us, we teach English, film studies, philosophy, creativity classes. You have a music class too. Why
And
don't
a
we add
music
that?
we have periodically when we remember to put it in. It's just not in the official text, so.
We have graduate degrees, and we attempt to use our academic training to dig deeply into movies. We explore the creativity, philosophy, film studies, and ethics in our films and push you, the listener, to think critically about your entertainment.
100%.
We watched today the third film in your all-time favorite MCU trilogy.
No. Yes. No. Wait. No. What? No, we did not.
Do you not like the Ant-Man movies?
I don't.
Do you even remember Ant-Man 2?
No.
Can you tell me one thing about Ant-Man 2?
It had an Ant-Man in
Yeah.
Nothing else? I think that... Oh, no, it had the Wasp in it.
Yeah?
And she ruined her hair, if I remember right, from the first movie.
She does have radically different hair in all three movies.
Yeah.
Which is kind of funny.
And, I can't say that I care about anything else that happened in that movie, so I don't remember.
I think you liked the first Ant-Man.
I liked it for what it was.
It's a heist movie.
Yeah.
Kind of more comedic.
With some idiocy in it.
Yeah. It was supposed to be an Edgar Wright film, and then it got taken away from him.
Sadly.
You can kind of see a little bit of Edgar Wright in the leftovers.
Yeah, we could have had Shaun of the Dead of the Ant-Man.
Yeah.
But we didn't.
Mm-mm. So Ant-Man and the Wasp, Quantumania is the third, and as far as we know, final Ant-Man movie we'll get. It does set up...
You know what? I don't care if they make more, because I only have to watch 2 more of these things.
Yeah, 2 more.
2 more of these.
Unless
I never have to watch another Marvel movie in my life.
Except for, I do think you maybe should watch Deadpool and Wolverine.
No, not going to happen.
Streaming.
No.
Well, maybe not.
Not going to happen.
Okay.
I'm so far done with the MCU that...
And you didn't even watch the TV shows.
If it was...
It's just the movies.
I'm trying to think of an appropriate metaphor for how done I am.
You know, we haven't had a Jason's Choice in a long time. Maybe
part
of the problem
through it. No,
maybe part of the problem is you need some different movies mixed in.
It's like when you're eating a plate full of nasty crap that your mom made, but you have to eat it anyway.
My mom only made delicious food.
Well, mine too. We're talking about, I'm sure, someone in the audience's mom. Anyhow, you can't get up. Actually, we don't do that anymore. When I was a kid, you had to clean your plate before you could get up from the table.
Yeah.
I remember sitting at the table for like 2 hours because I didn't want to eat something. Yeah, we don't do that anymore.
Hey, how did that affect you mentally?
You know, I think it kind of tainted my view of the MCU because basically that's exactly what it is. Except for it's not just one plate. It's like this entire table full of crap that I have to eat before I can get up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's been a year long. I'm trying to gag down all of this stuff. There were occasional, donuts or whatever your favorite food is.
Your mom made you donuts for dinner?
No, I'm just saying there were occasional,
There are a few
candied spams or whatever is your favorite thing. But
there's fluff. There's
trash. Throw a whole bunch of crap on the screen. Our plot doesn't need to make sense. The visuals don't need to be good or realistic. realistic in any way, really, or credible.
Well,
and the acting doesn't really. We'll just pull these people off the streets. Oh, they're famous. Here's a script, and they read it once, and then they're like, okay, let's shoot. That's what this movie was, and then it ended.
I'm pulling up a rank. I don't know if Rotten Tomatoes is the best one to go off of. Guess what do you think Rotten Tomatoes has the number one movie, though?
Probably Endgame.
That's 2.
Or Civil War.
That's...
If that's not in the top 3, then I'm never using Rotten Tomatoes again.
Well, Rotten Tomatoes is... You will not agree with number 3, but I agree with number 3.
Okay.
Anyway, number 1 is Black Panther, according to this one.
I'm okay with that.
And 3 is the original Iron Man. The start of it all, baby.
Are we ready?
Yeah, hold on.
Ready.
I wanted it because
That's so frustrating.
Most people typically put this movie near the bottom. In fact,
one that we just watched?
This list that I just looked up on Rotten Tomatoes has this movie as the worst one.
It is also my worst one. So there we go.
According to Rotten Tomatoes, it's 1 point lower than
The Incredible Hulk, which is
it's 1 point lower than The Eternals. Anyway, Rotten Tomatoes, it's not like it's the percentage of critics who liked it. It's not what the movie percentage of goodness is. Some people don't understand that.
Yeah, I think in this case they probably got it right.
So, Kang is the bad guy in this movie.
Correct.
If you watch the TV shows, this is the second time you saw Kang. In Loki season 1, Loki goes to the end of time, and who's waiting there but Kang? And then some stuff happens, and time gets messed up in Loki's story.
Of course.
And there's like a big statue of Kang in his thing. They were setting up Kang to be the next Thanos. And by all accounts, just based on this movie, he does have essentially the gravitas to be like a big bad guy.
I still don't know what his power is.
His powers are loose. I mean, I love that his powers are not him, it's his suit. It's like specifically...
So anyone could wear his suit and be the next Thanos.
Yeah, except for he's got the gumption to kill people.
Right, no, like Jonathan Majors was literally the only point of this movie that I was like, yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Like his performance is fantastic.
I agree.
Except...
But like they were the next Avengers movie was going to be like the Age of Kang or something, or the Kang Dynasty, what it was going to be called. But he got fired because that's what happens when you beat someone up in real life.
Okay, never mind
domestic
then.
Abuser.
That he was basically this whole movie is garbage. Then
in this movie, he just looking at the film and not him as a person.
Right.
He does have good bad guy chops.
Yeah.
And apparently in real life, he's got good bad guy chops.
Okay. Apologies to whoever he assaulted.
Yeah. He got fired by Disney. That's the moral of the story. Yeah. Here's where Robert Downey Jr. comes back into play.
As a corpse?
It now feels like they're building up to Doctor Doom. Doctor Doom being the next Avenger villain,
Doctor Doom is probably my favorite Marvel villain.
He's an incredible villain that's never been used properly. Yeah. But Robert Downey Jr. will be Doctor Doom.
And that will ruin it, so...
Yeah.
I'm glad we're done in 2 movies.
We'll all
Anyhow, Ant-Man versus Quantum... whatever the crap. Okay, first of all, I think the Disney or Marvel or whatever, the word quantum should be stricken from any scripts that are coming up. We should never say the word quantum again. I feel like there is a limit to the number of times you should say quantum in your lifetime or hear the word quantum in your lifetime. And I feel like this movie has filled that. That is your lifetime
movies ever.
Your lifetime RDA for the word quantum has been filled. Like there's one conversation when they're thinking about going in it, I swear they say it 50 times in the course of like a 3-minute conversation.
That's awesome. Yeah.
Anyhow, so that was, that we already talked about the horrible CGI, the lack of acting.
And we've talked CGI for a lot of these episodes. This is the worst. This is like the poster child of like scale. Like we talked, I was citing a YouTube video, but it's how to make the CGI look good. Like eye lines, where should your eyes be looking? Don't have them be looking like they're floating.
Were totally
sense of scale and like strict shapes. Like put your characters in a shape that helps like frame them,
right?
Whatever. And there's a scene where Ant-Man apparently goes as bigger than we've ever seen him before,
right?
And even MODOK's like, wow, that's really big. No sense of scale at all.
Way to
How big is he? I can't tell you.
Really?
He looks like a normal person.
Right.
Far away.
Yeah. That's so bad.
That is like a really bad example of that. I have to confess something. I actually kind of like this movie. I'm not gonna lie. Okay, I know most people like.
I'm settling in. Let's go.
So okay, I acknowledge it's not great. Mm-hmm. So I have a lot of problems with this movie, and we'll get into some specific things. Especially for the first maybe 2/3, I admire a lot of what this movie looks like and how it's kind of silly it is. Like Scott Lang. Ant-Man, he has this book, and I actually own the book. I was going to bring it to show you, and I haven't read the whole thing. I was trying to finish it over the weekend, but I'm a very slow reader. I've got 60 pages in. The words, for the record, are very big. The margins, very big. The first few chapters are kind of like a self-help book, and then it's kind of like a recount of the first two movies. Anyway, so I just like how silly Scott is. But he's not that silly. Like, that was one of my biggest things. I came in expecting this to be like goofball, off the wall stuff, and he's not at all. He's like this kind of semi-serious dad type guy. There's a bunch of themes with fatherhood, parenthood.
Right, which is not Ant-Man. Like, those themes needed to be somewhere else, in my opinion.
I mean, we'll get to parenthood, because that's also kind of a big problem with this movie. At least to me, the message I think the movie is saying, I don't think it's that great. Okay. I love the visuals are both bad and fantastic at the same time. Like, if you paused any screen and like just zoomed in on one of the creatures or what the world looks like, it looks unquestionably fantastic, but compared to the real people on screen with them, it all of a sudden looks not good at all. So the whole thing looks bad.
Yeah.
But there's a whole bunch of these creative costumes and like sets. I'm using that word loosely, I suppose. But
it's all green screen.
Yeah, exactly. That's kind of the problem. You can see the end of the set where the the screen starts.
Yep.
That immediately. But if you didn't see that, if it was just the green screen, you're like, oh wow. I looked up inspiration. People who made the movie compared its design to electronic microscope for photography. Pretty cool. And the heavy metal magazine issues from the 70s and 80s. And the director's favorite science fiction cover artists, such as Jean Girard for fantastic realism. So, at first glance, I didn't know that name, but I totally do. Do you know of an artist named Moebius? Well, Moebius has such a specific style. He's done comic books before, but he's also done his own things. To kind of describe Moebius' style in an audio format, it's think of kind of like Where's Waldo? Like tons of little detail, like cities and spaceships, but everything is super highly detailed, and it's a little bit more cartoony like Where's Waldo, or like landscapes, like deserts with like a spaceship floating above the desert, but just a ton of little detail. Because I think on Instagram I follow like Moebius Daily or something, where it's just screenshots of various things from his comic books.
Oh, cool.
And he's also done a lot of like art design for movies and stuff. For some reason, the only one I can think of off the top of my head is there's that Dune movie that didn't get made. He in between the one we have now and the one that we had in the 80s. There's someone else tried to make one. He did the designs and sketch works for those. Anyway, he works in movies, works in comics, does his own stuff. he has a specific style. You can tell. I could tell this was Mobius, and I didn't even know it was Mobius. But it's inspired by like the way the house is alive. That house looks very Mobius-like.
Right. Oh.
The little the world looks cool to me. I know it doesn't look great, and I wish it looked good.
Right.
It's almost like the movie's like, hey, there's a good movie here, but the movie itself is not great.
Right.
If only like there was a more interesting or better story to tell.
Yeah.
Also, since we're here, fantastical realism. Didn't know what that was. I mean, I know what those two words mean, and I could put a picture together. But there's this whole subgenre of... Imagine a painting where there's something super strange or weird, like a hand coming out of a snail shell in the middle of a beach. You know, a good way to picture...
Like Salvador Dali stuff?
Yeah, inspired by that.
Yeah.
This kind of came out after him, though, of surrealism. It's inspired by surrealism.
Yeah.
But imagine, like in dreams, there could be the weirdest thing you could ever think of, but in the dream, it's not weird at the time.
Right.
That's a great way to describe fantastical realism. Anyway, so kind of around a time where like because of the Civil War and eyes were pointed toward like Cuba and stuff, these authors in Latin America were kind of highlighted for this first time, talking about the struggles of life and things, and for some reason, fantastical realism was a big push and became a highlight. There's a book called 100 Years of Solitude. That's fantastical realism. Mm-hmm. It kind of, it's like the main thing that set off the movement, or like, oh yeah, this is a specific genre. Yeah, and so this movement, it's just connected to Latin American authors, and it's kind of cool. I didn't even know about this
that is kind of cool.
And there's various characters and costumes and things that, oh yeah, that's fantastical realism. In movies or books, it's used to kind of say something about society or like highlight a problem. Like, oh, this is a bad thing in life, but we're using a fantastical twist to make it a story. Anyway, so it's kind of cool that this was based on that. Cool. Mobius, an artist I like, and this cool subgenre.
Not the best example, though, probably, but that's kind of cool.
Yeah. Ant-Man, not the best example of it, but inspired by a cool thing.
Yeah, that is cool.
At first, because immediately critics were like, this is bad.
They were right.
And it's bad. And I remember in theaters watching it, like, okay, it's not so bad. But by the time Act 3 starts, it's like, oh, this is bad.
Yeah, it's very bad.
Just like, I guess, wandering through the people at first. There's that funny moment where it's like, Michael Douglas is talking. Was that guy made of broccoli? Or that guy looks like broccoli?
Yeah, whatever. Yeah.
That's all like, you have 7 holes. Paul Rudd has to stop. Yeah. And it's like,
what is that even for? I think
that's funny. And then it's like, wait a second, do eye holes not count? If you want to get technical. I love how weird MODOK is. A lot of people hate MODOK in this movie. It
was weird.
I like that it's so weird.
Okay.
And they never take him serious, which is funny. I don't know. I like MODOK. I have to be honest. I have to speak my truth.
There you go.
I'm glad MODOK's in here.
Spoken your truth.
It looks a little janky. I don't know why, though. Like, don't we have the technology to make it not look like this?
We definitely have the technology to make it not look like this.
At least I died an Avenger. And like, sure. I think stuff like that's what this.
Cool.
All right. Those are
your positives.
I mean, I wish I could love the world. Doesn't look the best.
No.
It doesn't.
Okay, so you said earlier that there's a great concept here, which I agree with.
Yeah.
Like, I love the worlds within worlds concept.
Uh-huh.
Like we saw in the end of like Men in Black.
Yeah.
Where like the whole world was this marble that, like, I think that's awesome to think about. And if they would have run with that and not tried to do all this other stupid crap, I think it might have been a better movie. So like, just even if they had acknowledged the fact that not a single person on this, what is it, subworld, quantum world.
Yeah, the quantum realm, I guess.
Great. On this little world, there's not a single person on that world that looks like any other person on that world.
Yeah.
Literally everyone in the movie looks different from everyone else in the movie. Not just, differences, like genetic differences between human beings, but like every character in this movie is a conceptually different being. How did that happen? They don't even care. It's just, here's a whole bunch of weird crap, and they don't, like, that would be a fascinating movie. How did all of these, it's like the Noah's Ark of intelligent beings. They don't even acknowledge it.
Yeah.
And so that's the movie that this could have been. This Worlds Within Worlds, and what's the story of all of these people getting here? For like a good 30 minutes in the middle of this movie, I'm like, this is a straight ripoff from Star Wars The New Hope. Like the whole cantina scene, they forgot the band. Like, where's the band?
Yeah,
so
enter the world of the unknown.
Are you kidding me? Anyhow,
we're looking for a ship. That's okay.
So
we
terrible.
do have to address Bill Murray. Criminally underused.
Yes. Like, what the flip? Bill Murray, Ghostbusters. Bill Murray.
What about Bob, your favorite
movie? What about
Bob?
Bill Murray, and then all he does is shows up and makes some vaguely, sexual thing about whatever Michelle Pfeiffer, and that's all he does? Are you kidding?
No idea how they didn't give him more
my gosh. This is just the worst. There is one concept that I thought was like the probability storm thing. I thought was kind of cool. Like the concept that
with all of
every choice that you could ever make was happening all at once. That was kind of a cool idea. And even visually, I thought that little chunk of the movie worked pretty well.
That's where it's easy. You don't have the background to graphically, like the CGI works better because it's mostly all CGI.
Right. Right.
I was like, there's probably a deep take with this moment right here.
Yeah, it's a really cool idea.
Like the only reason he could get lifted up to the thing is when all of his selves had the same goal, his daughter. I like that.
I did too. The whole time Michael Douglas was flying the ship, I desperately wanted to know how stupid he felt just sitting there with his arms stuck in dryer hoses for like a long time.
Yeah.
It's just sitting there.
Long.
I'm like, what? This is Michael Douglas. Like, I don't... and Michelle Pfeiffer is in this movie. How can this be so bad? These are huge names.
There's nothing for those three to do in this
I
movie.
know.
Nothing for those.
It's a failure of movie. Anyhow, there were a couple of good quotes. That's all I've got.
What are your quotes?
Positives. Well, they're kind of philosophical choice quotes.
All right, hold the philosophy.
Oh, wait. Sorry. One more thing. I thought Kang's first death that should have been his actual death was great. Like with the ants and he's doing the thing. I thought that was really well executed.
Yeah.
It would have been one of the better deaths of a villain in Marvel. And then... they just can't leave it alone. They have to have the quote-unquote surprise return of the bad guy who we thought was dead but isn't.
Here's why I think this is a problem.
Let the ants kill him and move on.
So what a nitpick I have, because it ultimately doesn't matter at all, is when science fiction movie uses like vaporizes someone, boom, gone, no, nothing.
Right.
And it needs, I think, like, you could put some dust in the air. Put a little bit of residue on the ground. Because Kang is like, boom, boom, boom. Like, people evaporate.
Right.
And then he doesn't use that on the main characters.
No, for some reason.
But the main problem with Kang coming back to the last fight, I remember seeing this in theaters for the first time, like, are they going to let Ant-Man die? Like, that thought crossed my mind. Like, will this movie be so bold to trap the next Avengers villain he's willing to sacrifice himself? No. We already have his daughter as the next Ant-Man, or
sure,
whatever. Like, will this movie do it? And it doesn't. It cheapens out. The fist fight, I thought it kind of had a little bit of oomph, but I think this movie could have been a little bit better if they killed off Ant-Man.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
Kill everyone in this movie. It would have been a much better movie. Like 10 minutes in.
But no, it doesn't matter. Nothing matters in the end. Like, that's the thing when he's failing to do the thing King needs him to do with all the different versions of him. And he fails. There's not enough time to feel that failure. There was a fantastic... Actually, there's a YouTuber... They're making videos again, which is awesome, called Every Frame a Painting. If you want to just see fantastic video essays, look up Every Frame a Painting. But he has this one video I show my film studies class about editing, where they compared the scene in Ant-Man where he's trying to get the ants to get the cube into the coffee. Yeah. Compared to Luke Skywalker trying to lift the X-Wing up out of Dagobah. And it's like, ants are doing it. They're not listening to me. I can't do it. No one buys it. No one believes it. Versus Luke Skywalker trying to get the X-Wing up out of the water, and then can't do it. It just takes like twice as long for it to sink and him to feel this failure. Yeah. And we need time. We're not robots. We need time to feel failure sometimes. It's the same problem in this movie. Oh no, I can't do it. Doesn't matter. Here's hope. We fix it immediately. Yeah. Anyway, so there are serious problems with this movie.
Yes, I agree. So, philosophically, I had to dig a little deep to find something. So Ant-Man's Ant-Man's kid. I don't know. Her name is.
Oh, you want to know a fun fact?
Sure.
This is a different actress.
I like fun facts.
Since we saw them last in Endgame.
I would never have recognized that.
So the actress who was the daughter in Endgame was not told she wasn't coming back. She learned about Ant-Man 3 when she saw the trailer. Which is very rude, Marvel.
Yeah, no kidding.
The actress who plays her in this movie, she's more famous. She's in a few other things, so she's
sunk her career with this one. So, anyhow, so whoever that is, at one point says, just because it's not happening to you doesn't mean it's not happening.
Oh, yes. I'm also going to talk about this.
Oh, why don't you go first then?
Okay. That's a good sentiment.
It is a great sentiment.
However, looking at the story,
they
just got there. They don't know this world. Mm-hmm. They need to take care of themselves. I couldn't be on that side at all. I was like,
I agree.
Get your loved ones and get out of here. Yes. You know, you don't have a dog in this fight. For this specific example.
Right. Yes. Yeah, I agree. It was just so ham-handed that there's no way to engage intellectually with that sentiment.
Yeah. If I went, let's say, on a trip with my family to a big city and I got split up and, oh no, there's people in need, the situation 100%. Does not call for that for me. You know what I mean?
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think philosophically with that, the problem, so we both notice the same problem, is that loyalist ethics for just about everyone is either a primary or secondary ethics. Like me and my people need to be safe, provided for, taken care of. Yeah. Then I can start.
Like, I remember one time, so like compared to where your family was taking care of, there was a time we were with my parents-in-laws just driving, like, you know, just together. My father-in-law, he sees a homeless person on the side, pulls over, gives him some money. Yeah. You know, that's different. You know, like we were taken care of. It wasn't like, okay, can I lump onto your ethics while we're here? Because this was kind of what I want to talk about anyway. The movie seems to say the only good portrayal of doing good is social activism. Because the girl, the daughter, is like, they were going to tear gas the people in the park. And, you know, that's a good cause. But she's so mad at her dad for not doing things that she thinks is as important.
Right.
And I think there's a weird message being here, because the movie seems to say this is the only cause of good, to be actively doing something. Where I'm like, yeah, your dad did save the world.
Right.
And he wrote a book about it. And he's not a bad person all of a sudden.
Yeah.
I feel like the movie's kind of a weird message for activism.
Well, I think it just borrowed the stereotypical teenager response to parents.
Okay.
It was just kind of a cookie cutter. All teenagers think all parents suck. Like, that's how I read that. You obviously thought more about this movie than I did. At that point, I was just
That's what this podcast is, Deeds.
Well,
we're supposed to think
there has
critically.
to be some fodder for the thought, I think.
So I in college, I took a politics class. We had to read a book called The Righteous Mind, Why Good People Disagree Over Politics. And a main idea is, this is what one political side thinks is like, this is what you should do to be a good citizen of your country. And this is what another side typically thinks. It's typical for young people to feel like they're doing good is to literally be out doing something.
Yeah.
Compared to versus taking care of your neighbors versus taking care of your immediate like society, type of thing. So that's kind of like, I was thinking of that with this movie. Like, oh, she's representing this side. Like, to do something, you need to be doing a thing that has an immediate effect, I suppose.
Yeah. That's a much better take than my take.
But then, at the end of the movie, the worst part of this movie is they've been there, an hour?
I have no idea.
Let's lead a rebellion,
And people are following them. And
exactly, that's stupid. What would have strengthened this movie a lot is if they were there for days, if not weeks, if not months, Like,
so turn it into like a Lord of the Rings trilogy or something.
Or even the Sam Raimi Spider-Man movies. That's not a one-day thing.
Right.
He's Spider-Man forever. Like,
Right.
you get a sense that it's a long time.
Yeah.
That would have helped this movie. And a lot of recent Marvel movies, it's just a one-day problem or a two-day problem for some reason.
Yeah.
But at the end...
Well, that's true of No Way Home too, right? That was just
a one-day thing. Yeah.
So it can be done really, really well.
Yeah.
So it's not a problem with the one day. It's a problem of this movie's garbage. I don't know.
It's like at the end when they're about to fight back, or the rallying cry is, "Let's hurt them back."
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, so violence is the only answer.
That's right.
Apparently.
So many problems.
And like didn't she literally say we've been mistreated? Anyway, it's like Scott's daughter, I don't know her name. You've been here an hour, okay? Right. Calm down.
So bad.
It's just, I guess, there is a word for it where it's you just want to seem like you care about problems.
So, we can send beams of whatever into the quantum realm. Like, the whole setup of that was honestly just stupid to me. Like, the whole movie happens because they're sending some beam into the quantum realm or something. Whatever.
There's a movie. It's like, oh, they want to grab the resources from... This was Ant-Man 2! Unless I'm mistaken, the main drive of Ant-Man 2 is they want to use the resources of the quantum realm. I think.
I have no idea. The fact that you can't remember it and I can't remember it means that this is not a good trilogy.
You're right. If there was a bigger reason for looking into the quantum realm...
There was no reason.
I know! That's what I'm saying! If there was what if there was an army that will fight you back if you do this? Or I don't know, whatever.
Nobody cares. Alright, couple more quotes, and then I'm probably done.
Go on.
So, couple of King quotes that were interesting. I don't know what they mean, really, but... that's what conquerors do. They burn the broken world and they make a new one. I guess. I guess.
Should we break into the semantics of conqueror versus like dictator? There's probably differences.
I don't know.
He's King the Conqueror.
Yeah. I put this down as archetypes because at one point we were doing archetypes of the real, whatever. So what he's describing is the rebel archetype, which isn't inherently a bad guy archetype.
You want to change the world.
It's just, I see something wrong. I don't see a way to fix it within the system. So we need to tear down the system and build a new thing. And he also said history is not written, it's forged. And I don't really know what that means either, but he said it. And I'd never heard it before, so I wrote it down. And there it is.
I generally don't even know what to think. You need to burn down the village to make history.
You don't write it on paper, you forge it out of metal with a hammer.
That you took over.
There has to be pain and suffering. I genuinely, it's just whatever.
You know what's nuts? Okay, here's the crazy thing. They literally show like 1,000,000 kings at the end.
Yeah.
So that's like the easiest way to recast somebody.
Sure.
I guess
you know what?
There might have been a rumor that he had it in his contract that King could not appear unless it was him. That might be true. He he was a person. He traveled back into Egypt times, I think by mistake, became a ruler.
A god, I think. Because I looked it up too.
Yeah. And he messes with time.
Sure.
So, I want to run something by you.
Okay. Do
you know who Patton Oswalt is?
No.
You don't remember the voice of the dwarf at the end of Eternals? He's also the voice of Remy in Ratatouille. And he's just in other movies. Okay. Anyway. He was on a podcast and he had this theory. And I'm not saying I agree with this, but I want to know what your thoughts are. He has a theory that the president of the United States kind of influences pop culture. So on, so good. So
sure.
He starts all the way back of like Kennedy times in the 60s. Oh, James Bond. Like, we're cool. Then
James Bond is JFK?
Well, no more like America, we will be awesome. We're young and hip. I don't know.
James Bond is British.
All right, calm down.
Okay, I'm trying to understand.
And then the Vietnam War, we don't trust people. So hypothetically, you could say, starting with George W. Bush, 9/11 happens. A lot of our movies things are bad. Who can we trust? Everything is dark and scary now.
Sure.
Maybe that's true. Maybe it's not. Obama, we're sick of that. Now we need heroes to look up to. Someone come down and save us. Marvel explodes, around this time.
Oh, did Marvel explode during Obama?
Iron Man comes out 2008.
Oh.
So, kinda.
I didn't know that.
So maybe that's reflecting things. And then it's fast forward to Trump. Like, now we're, there's a questioning about what is truth, what is reality. We're sick of everything being black and white. And so now multiverse kind of might come into play. And then I don't know if Biden has anything specific, but it's kind of like, why did we become so obsessed with the multiverse the last few years or whatever? Is it because we're trying to find a better reality, I guess, or like are we just interested in a different path than what we are right now? I don't know. Once again, not saying I agree with that. Do you think there's any... Okay, here's...
Yeah.
Let me boil that down.
I could see it because historically, the president of the United States has been looked at as one of the most important, influential people on the planet.
Yeah.
And so it makes sense that whatever they care about, whatever they're focused on, whatever they bring to the fore of the media would be something that would shape music, shape what's written, shape movies. Yeah, so that makes sense.
9/11 unquestionably influenced everything.
Yeah, for sure.
Especially movies.
Yeah.
Like even The Dark Knight. It's like, who did we turn to when 9/11 happened? It's like, the immediate response was the police officers. Like, a big part of The Dark Knight is Batman helping these cops and stuff, and or like and we have a terrorist. Like the Joker threatening that the city riles together.
We need to watch.
It's a 9/11 movie.
Yeah, I agree.
And we just watched in my film class I Am Legend because we're looking at genre. It's horror, action, thriller, you know, stuff. But that's also a 9/11 movie. It's 2008, so it's years removed. But it takes a while to get movies made or something.
Sure.
But yeah,
I could see that.
New York City.
So all post-apocalyptic movies that were made right after.
Probably.
Yeah, I could believe that. No.
You don't think there's deepness in Ant-Man 3?
Nope.
I even thought about...
I thought for a long time.
I was even like, they go into this secret unseen world. There are unseen worlds everywhere in this world. Every house is an unseen world.
Sure.
Every
I
society
agree.
is an
That's
unseen
true.
world. I'm not a big fan of David Lynch. Eraserhead, Twin Peaks, Mulholland Drive.
Yeah, me either.
Most cinephiles
Worship
really
him.
kinda, and that's when I struggle to get behind. I like Eraserhead. I really like Elephant Man, but he made a movie called Blue Velvet, which it's basically about in this nice town or this nice place, there's a evil lurking underneath. Like there's a whole bad people and stuff. And
pretty standard.
Yeah, it's kind of standard, but when you watch it, it's a bit more complicated. I didn't love the movie, for the record. I'm not recommending this one, but unless you want to watch David Lynch, do whatever you want. I don't know. But I'm like, it's like that, but it's a Quantumania, or it's the quantum realm, I guess.
Sure.
Because like at the beginning of Blue Velvet, a guy gets bit by a bug, falls down, the camera zooms in on this bug. The entire movie goes by not addressing this bug until, I don't know, mild spoiler. At the very end, you see a robin eating a bug, and it's like, the bug is the bad stuff, and it's just there with the good stuff. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm not smart enough for art house movies.
That's not true. Take it back.
Okay.
Anyhow, so I was like, is that a deep take? Is this movie trying to say there's secret worlds everywhere?
It could have
said
that, but as I mentioned, it didn't.
I will say, but I think the parenthood, fatherhood theme is at least tempting to do it. And at first...
Wait, what is the message
of
it?
Let me tell you, Dr. Dietz.
I'm just trying to give you a lead-in. Don't be all snotty.
So... I actually think it kind of feels a little bit anti-fatherhood at the beginning, because Scott's trying. His daughter got arrested. He's trying to do a fatherly thing and tell her what to do, what not to do, and then the parents, the grandparents, are actively like in front of him. Like he's like, they're not letting him do his job as a father, I suppose. Yeah. It's like, is this like anti-fatherhood right here? I don't know. I mean, that's also maybe looking a little deeper than intended, I suppose. Because the daughter is like, I don't care what my dad says, but my grandpa, who supports what I support, right, I will listen to him and do the quantum verse. Oh, my grandma doesn't like this, doesn't matter. I'm, whatever. It's there. But then... Right,
that's like standard teenager boilerplate is all I saw there.
Yeah.
Like all teenagers disrespect, all teenagers think that their lives are the most important.
And then at the end, like back when he's fighting King fist to fist and he's about to die, hope comes out of nowhere. This is how I read it. It takes the parents to save the day.
Sure. We'll go with that.
You gotta, it takes a team.
Ugh.
Yeah,
what? 100%. I agree.
That's all I have for Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania.
That's a good take.
Anyway, that's all I have for Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania. I believe this is the last one shot around pandemic rules, like everyone wearing masks. If you look back behind the scenes stuff or whatever. I don't know for the next movie is Guardians of the Galaxy 3. But if you look at the making of, everyone's still wearing masks. And then it's The Marvels, where it's Captain Marvel and two characters from two different TV shows you didn't watch. So,
okay. And then we're done.
The end. Did you see the end tag for this movie?
Kane will return.
Yeah, but he returns in Loki season 2.
Oh, so he doesn't actually return.
He doesn't return for you.
Cool.
Okay. Well, okay. I am excited for you to watch Guardians of the Galaxy 3 because you loved the first one.
Did I?
Yeah, your brain is just.
Oh, I
right
did
now.
love the first one.
You didn't like
the
the second one.
Looked like Spy Kids 3.
I don't agree with that.
I know.
I think Guardians 2 is good.
But,
Can I prep? I think Guardians 3 is the best Guardians. Maybe you will disagree, maybe not. It's a solid trilogy in my book. Maybe the best Marvel trilogy. It might be.
Ant-Man.
Yeah, it is. It is. It might be the best trilogy in Marvel. We'll see. I mean, I don't know.
Well, it's certainly not Iron Man. It's not Captain America, although 2 of the 3 are
really
excellent movies.
Uh-huh.
Thor
Thor was a trilogy before it became a quadrilogy. Ant-Man.
Yeah. Okay. So maybe. The only other contender.
Spider-Man. That's a trilogy. Spider-Man's solid, actually.
Yeah. Well, the last one. So, Poison.
Do you want to borrow the Ant-Man book I have?
No. I have no desire.
Well, I guess that's true. Last time I let you borrow a book, you still have it.
I was waiting for that. That was a setup for the... You know what? I'll just buy you another copy.
Why did you lose it?
I don't know. It was sitting on my end table and I was reading it and then it's gone. I'll buy you another one. Did anyone important sign that or sneeze on it or something that I would need to replicate?
Yeah.
Okay, I'll sneeze on it for you. Okay, well, thank you. This has been,
I had a lot of fun this episode.
Well, it was fun.
The dessert of the real. He eats. I forget what he's eating.
That little creature and.
Oh yeah, I guess
screaming all the way down and.
The movie ends. He takes a bite out of something, and the movie ends with him going and then it cuts. Do you remember that? You don't even remember that. You watched it yesterday. You don't remember. I'm
an old person.
It doesn't matter.
No, at that point, I think my brain was off. We got done. I watched it with my youngest son.
What did he say?
And we got done with it, and he's like, I'm not really glad I watched that movie, and I wouldn't watch it again. You know what? That's solid.
Hey, pick up some Mobius if you want to see some cool artwork. Okay. Thank you so much for listening. What do you think about Ant-Man? Send us an email at desertofthereelpod@gmail.com. Do you like this movie? If you are, why? Tell us your thoughts about other movies. What should Jason watch next?
Subscribe on whatever podcast thing you listen to.
We're on Apple, we're on Spotify, we're on Amazon, we're on YouTube even, but that one, we don't get any views on that. But
we're on CNN, so tune in there.
We are also on Good Pods.
We're not on CNN.
Thank you so much for listening.
Yes, indeed. It's really what drives us to do what we do. Think critically.
Yeah, think critically.
You know what? I think part of critical thinking would have been walking out of this movie at about 15 minutes in, actually. Now that I think about
critical thinker would not have watched this whole thing. But now you've seen it. Anyway, we love you.
We do love you. Thanks for listening.
Bye.